What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Combat Sports Media YouTube channel. This is your boy Seth, and in this video I'm going to talk about and give you my thoughts on Lomachenko's career and retirement, as well as my thoughts on Teofimo Lopez and his recent actions, and also the recent comment or message on X that Turkey Al-Sheikh said in regards to the matchups and what he expects from here on out from the fighters. So first of all, let's start with Lomachenko. Lomachenko, as you guys know, retired. Great career, Hall of Famer. Every single one of his fights, including even the first one, was at a world-class level. The first fight he had as a professional obviously was not for a world title, but it was for a regional WBO title. It might have been the NABO if I'm not mistaken. It might have even been something else, I don't know. And he was against a contender, a ranked fighter in the top 10 or 15 of the WBO. I believe his name was Jose Ramirez as well, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, he wasn't a bad fighter. He was considered a world-class fighter at the time. And then right away he fights Salido for the world title, and that was actually the fight that made me interested in his career and the future in regards to Lomachenko. Because even though he lost that fight, he showed me the amount of potential that he showed me was just off the charts. At the end of that fight, he was the one that was backing Salido up. And it was only his second professional fight. And for an amateur to get better and better as the fight goes on and make adjustments the way he did throughout that fight. And as we all know, Salido came into that fight, he blew the weight, he didn't make the weight. And he came in maybe 15 pounds heavier than Lomachenko when he was in the ring. And he hit him with low blows all night, and Lomachenko still managed to make that an extremely close fight and had Salido backing up at the end. So that was a great performance despite the result. And then right away after that, he fights Gary Russell for the WBO World Championship, if I'm not mistaken, and dominates him. And Gary Russell is his generation's greatest featherweight. You know, he's the best featherweight, 126 pounder in his generation. Meaning the past 10 years. It's Gary Russell, baby. You know, despite the fact that we all wanted him to fight more and whatnot, he had a decent amount of defenses of his WBC title. He won it in his fight immediately after losing Lomachenko, if I'm not mistaken, against Johnny Gonzalez, the guy that knocked out Abner Mares. And he reigned for years to come, Gary Russell. Great fighter, but this is about Lomachenko. And then, nobody wanted to fight him at 126 despite him being a champion at a champion. And he ended up moving to 130. He went through a whole phase of just making people quit over and over again, including Nicholas Walters, who was on a devastating knockout streak at the time over the likes of one of my favorite fighter, Victor Chinian, Nonito Donaire, who's still doing his thing, and he's about to fight for a world title this week, if I'm not mistaken. And so Nicholas was going on a tear, and Lomachenko dominates him and makes him quit and pretty much retires him because he took like a 5 or 6 year layoff. He beat the likes of Guillermo Rigondeaux, who's another a Hall of Famer, despite the fact that we all think he's boring and whatnot. The guy Rigondeaux himself was a 2-time gold medalist, and Lomachenko dominated him. And the list goes on and on. He dominated the likes of Luke Campbell. He dominated the likes of Man, what was that guy's name? The guy from Puerto Rico, really tough guy, WBA champion. Man. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, and then and then after that he moved up to 35. But the point I'm trying to make is, Neil Santa Cruz didn't fight him, Scott Quigg didn't fight him, Carl Frampton didn't fight him, Jojo Diaz didn't fight him, Oscar Valdez didn't fight him. You know what I mean? Look at all these guys that didn't fight him. Guillermo Rigondeaux also almost didn't fight him, but he got him. He eventually got him before moving up to 135. And then once he got to 135, that's when he was able to get some big fights on a consistent basis and unified the division. He started off by destroying Jorge Linares, who I always thought was overrated. And then, but nevertheless, that was still a great win because at this point, Lomachenko doesn't even belong at 135. The reason why he's at 135 or even bothered to go up there was because all these guys that I named were examples of fighters that were ducking him or had no interest in fighting him. And so he had to move up in order to make it easier on himself to get bigger fights with bigger names. Because he was already a two-division champion at that point. So now he just wanted the big fights. And that's why he moved to 35, but he didn't belong there. So nevertheless, even though Jorge Linares is an overrated fighter, that's still a great win for Lomachenko or someone of his stature physically. And just a great fighter, man. Once in a generation type of talent. I think, you can even argue that he might be one of the best that ever did it. I have no problem with people putting him up there with guys like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, guys like that. Manny Pacquiao. I have no problem. Obviously Manny Pacquiao's accomplished a lot more, but you get what I'm saying. He's that level of fighter. I don't have a problem with people saying that. First ballot Hall of Famer with no question. And also on top of all that, two-time gold medalist as an amateur. So, I wish him the best in his future endeavors and all that. And he's going to be missed. Great fighter. Now, on to Teofimo Lopez and what he's up to. I don't know what the fuck he's up to. I don't know what's going on up here, but I suggest he be quiet. And I don't know. I think in the ring, he's doing just fine. I'm a fan of him as far as inside the ring is concerned. But outside the ring, I think he talks too much and he's just too... attention. He seeks attention a little too much. He works a little. So that's all I gotta say about that. I don't want to give that negative stuff too much attention. Now on to Turki Al-Sheikh and what he said on X. I fully endorse it and agree with it. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Turki Al-Sheikh said something to the effect of, now it's not a direct quotation, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he basically said on X, those of you that have X, you guys could go to his account and read. He said that he doesn't want to see any more Tom and Jerry type of boxing matches anymore, and that's not something that he wants to endorse or promote. So that's a loud and clear message for guys like Devin Haney and whatnot. Hopefully the standard and quality of the fights get better because of this statement that he made, we should just hope for the best. I wish Turki Al-Sheikh all the best in his endeavors, and so far I think he's been doing pretty good. It's hard to poke holes and complain about what he's been doing as a boxing promoter. So I just wish him all the best and all the success, and I hope he continues to make the best matches possible. I know the New York City card didn't go down like we all wanted it to, but hey, that's boxing. Things happen like that in the sport of boxing. As a promoter and as a matchmaker, all you can do is do your part, but the fighters also have to do theirs. And that's all for now. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll have some more content coming up soon. Thank you.